Hello, welcome to Sterlo's Wrap.
Oh, straight rhythm!
Bang, take advantage of it.
Oh, stand and applause!
It's a stupid question.
It's not!
I have far greater expectations of you than that.
Oh, yes! He's gone all the way!
Now, he's popular, he's a great leader, he's the mentality of this football team.
Oh, and another one from Cleary!
Well, it doesn't get much better, does it?
Absolutely outstanding, and the finish is just as good!
It's rugby league, isn't it?
Hello, welcome to Sterlo's Wrap of round 13. A bit of a wrap and a bit of an Origin preview as well. Very excited for this Origin, Pete. It's going to be a beauty.
I can't believe I didn't wear blue. I might have to go and change the shirt. White surrender, that's not good.
That's true, you've got the neutral colour.
Yeah, no, big week coming up. And a big 6 weeks coming up now, not just in regards to New South Wales v Queensland, but also what can happen with the premiership ladder. This is, in golf parlance, kind of moving time for a number of clubs who certainly aren't, sort of hamstrung by the amount of representation other teams do. And we saw that on the weekend with Penrith getting rolled for the first time.
You're going to do some crystal ball gazing for us in a moment
Yeah,
as well.
I know part of it's going to come back to haunt me, but we'll go there anyway.
A bit of top 8 prediction from Sterlo coming up. Only 4 games this weekend. Let's have a look through them, starting with Sunday's match. I thought I'd start with the best result for you, Pete. Parramatta 40 over the Knights 4. Very difficult assignment for Newcastle when you consider the calibre of player out, but Parramatta coming off back-to-back losses needed to make a statement here, and they did.
Yeah, so important for them. I thought it was a really good performance as well. Basically, once Ryan Madison scored after 3 minutes, the result was never in doubt. But I like the way they built their game. We hadn't seen that the previous 2 weeks. Defensively, they were great. I think they'd be gutted that they allowed the final try for Tuala to get on the scoreboard. But I just thought overall a really strong performance, which was exactly what was needed. But as you point out, the Newcastle Knights without their 5 best players, basically. Obviously, the 3 forwards, Tyson Frizzell, Daniel Saifidi and David Clemmer missing. No Kalen Ponga, no Mitchell Pearce. They are a different proposition with all of those players there. The Eels took advantage of that and did a great job. As a Parramatta fan, I have to say that when Reid Marnie went down, I thought, well, hang on, this could be the most significant part of the season for them, and it looked really bad because he'd had such a good season and a good game, and really a couple of plays here I want to point out, just his vision and execution. And the thing I love about this is the formation from Parramatta as well. For this first try for Ryan Madison, the whole back line is set to the left, and it looks to all intents and purposes that's where he's going. Same here. Big formation to the left-hand side, and then just a really select pass onto the chest of Tom Opacek, who gets on the outside of Bradman Best. So, again, just more subtlety in his game, but this was the moment where I honestly, Matt, and sitting next to you, I thought, well, that's a pectoral muscle for sure.
If you're watching at home, you would have heard a bang at this stage. That was Sterlo falling off his chair.
Well, and there, straight away he signalled to the bench, you're thinking the worst, because he knows straight away he's in trouble. And it was the classic arm out, pectoral tear, because the arm is so far away, and we've seen it in the past. But fortunately, the news this morning, and it's not a certainty at the moment, but it looks like it's just a dislocation. I did hear Reid after the game talk about the fact he had to put it back in. So, the sublux there, nowhere near as serious as a pec, might be just a couple of weeks.
Put your shoulder back in?
Many times.
Oh.
Well, that's why I retired. So.
Is it really bad?
Not now.
No, but when your shoulder.
Well, no, it's not, because well, the adrenaline's going and you're hyped up. It's not. No, it's painful later.
Right.
But at the time, it's not too bad. But you don't want to be doing it all the time. So, I was talking to Andrew Johns in commentary about it. If Reid is out, and we'll talk about it when we do our preview for next weekend. He thinks that Joey Lussick would come into the Parramatta side. He's been really impressed with him at training. Obviously, there are a couple of other options there. Will Smith was part of the 17. Nathaniel Roach was brought across from the Warriors. And Ray Stone has played there in the past. But Joey seems to think it might be the other Joey in Lussick. So we'll keep an eye on that later in the week.
All right, big win for Parra. Bit of work to do for Newcastle. Storm 20, Titans 14. Many thought Melbourne would run away with this. Pretty good game of footy. And I've got to say, the Titans slaughtered it. They really did.
Mate, you look at Justin Holbrook up in the coach's box, you just felt for him, because this was a great opportunity, taking nothing away from the Melbourne performance. But this was a huge chance for the Titans, who had the running, who had Remus Smith missing for 10 minutes there in the final 13 minutes of the game, and they just couldn't get the job done. And they were given a leg up. A couple of mistakes from Melbourne that were very uncharacteristic. This one, actually, I think Jerome Hughes probably should have held on to this one. You could just see it wasn't kind of unfolding that well. The pass wasn't particularly good, but they came up with the drop ball from the kickoff, and that led to the try for Jared Wallace. And then this one from Dale Finucane, who was close to Melbourne's best if he wasn't. An unfortunate offload there, an untimely offload, and they score from that. So they did take advantage on a number of occasions, but then when the golden one presented itself, I have no idea why Brian Kelly did not pass his football. Now, it comes down to the left-hand side. Honestly, it's just a simple draw and pass. Catch, pass.
Oh, Brian.
And Philip Sami.
What?
He was livid. That makes the game possibly 20-all, and this is when Melbourne had a player in the bin. Now, I just want to have a look at this again too. I want to point out some really good refereeing here. The referee plays advantage on this particular play because the ball is touched by Jennings, Melbourne's Jennings, in a moment. Watch there. Touches it there.
Yep.
So that's the first infringement. But then play unfolds and the Titans, Brian Kelly, loses the football. Now, I think on a number of occasions that would have come back as a Titans football. But I think he's clearly seen the referee that the Titans have taken their advantage. So even though it was touched by the Melbourne Storm player and play continued, the advantage had been taken. I would love to see more officiating like that because I don't know how many times you look at it and say, well, gee, the play went another 30 metres and they threw 3 passes and they had a great opportunity to score. Surely that's advantage taken. Well, there was a clear indication of some good refereeing, understanding what advantage is about. Melbourne got the football, even though they came up with the first infringement. But yeah, a golden opportunity really missed by the Gold Coast Titans. And when you look at the battle they're in for a finals berth, that may be well gained that they look back at the end of the season cursing that, the 2 points not gained and the 2 lost, which is a 4-point turnaround, might really cost them.
I think Brian Kelly might have ducked out of the video review with 10 minutes to go. He might have had a toilet break.
Wasn't the only time he actually could have passed a football in that last
Brian.
15, 20 minutes as well. But he's had a good year, Brian Kelly. Just can't understand. It was the easy option. And generally players like to look for that one. Anyway.
Yes. Dragons 52, Broncos 24. It was raining points in the opening game of the round at Cogra. Let's start with the not so good for Brisbane. Look, footballers, sports people of all shapes and sizes have bad nights. And poor Jermaine Osaka had one of those.
Yeah, look, I'm not putting the boot in here at all. He had one of those unfortunate nights. I hate to see players hooked, but really, Kevin Walter said after the game that for himself and for the team, it was better to get Jermaine out of there. And I made the point again in commentary that, the one thing that does affect his game is that there's an error or two in there. That was a huge one. Yeah, that's 18 all, 5 seconds out from half time. And all of a sudden, all the momentum going into the sheds at the break has gone the Dragons' way. So, that was a really big play. And look, he had one of those unfortunate nights. I saw Manu Vatuvei have one at Parramatta Stadium where you wanted to cringe for him. He came back. I think Jermaine Osaka, and I've always thought that Jermaine Osaka was a winger.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see him put out onto the wing. I still think he's got plenty to offer in first grade.
They've got to find a fullback from somewhere.
Well, I think that they do anyway. But I think Jermaine is a winger, and I think he'd be best served for his own career and for his time at the Broncos that he's put out on the flank, and I think you'll see his better football from there. The other big thing out of this one, of course, was the inclusion of Jack de Belin for the first time in the top grade for 2.5 years. He only had 44 minutes under his belt from the previous week, and what he did offer, as you can see here from a couple of tries, is that extra ball playing option. And again, I was talking about formation earlier with Parramatta, to be able to have a playmaker on the other side basically holding defence on that side, but have Jack de Belin operating with either Ben Hunt or Corey Norman. That really just adds another string to their bow, and I thought it worked really well. It's only going to get better. I think Jack might have only played just under half an hour, so he didn't have a big influence, but you could see the really positive effect he had on the other playmakers around him. And as I say, if I'm a defender, and if I see Hunt and Norman in the past go to that side, pretty much know the ball's going to go that way. If they're split and de Belin is operating between the two. You know, I've got to stay this side, even though the ball might go the other side, because I've got Ben Hunt over here, and he might get the football. So his inclusion, especially with Tarek Sims out of this game, was a timely one for the Dragons, and a pretty positive one in the end.
Interesting too, just back on Brisbane, Carmichael Hunt played at halfback in the Intra Super Queensland Cup at the weekend. I know the Broncos are going through a rebuild. I don't know if 34-year-olds are part of a rebuild, but for the rest of the year, they could make the 8, given the way it's congested around mid-table.
What did you just say? They could make the 8.
They could make the 8.
They could make the 8?
Yeah.
They conceded 52.
Mate, Souths have conceded 50 twice this year. What does that mean?
Well, what it does mean is that we're not going to talk about them in the same breath, Matt. No, I know where you come. Mathematically. Right. Yeah. And once you use the term mathematically,
means I can't.
It ain't going to happen.
Okay.
Carmichael, how many halves changes would that be in the course of one season?
You could play him in the centres, you could play him, but you could, I don't know whether he's over.
Look, I wouldn't be surprised if he's in there at some stage, because the one thing they do lack is experience, and Carmichael offers that in abundance.
Yeah. West Tigers 26 ended Penrith's winning run. 26-6 the score. A lot made, and understandably so, of the absentees for the Panthers, but the Tigers have gone back-to-back now, Pete, and there's a bit of defensive resolve in the Tigers outfit, which wasn't there at the start of the year.
I think that's what I took out of it most. I thought it was their best win of the season, and yes, Penrith were under strength, but still fielded a quality side, and the Tigers, with Michael Maguire working for things in his game, I think it finally it became evident in this 80 minutes, and it was the defence in the first 20 minutes that I was really impressed with, because Penrith threw plenty at them, and they had to be good defensively, the Tigers, to counteract that. And I think the Jason Little try actually summed up that kind of defence. Jacob, I'm sorry.
Jason Little. I know we're in rugby now, but that's going back a while.
In the phone book, he's Jay Little. Okay, so, and I think that summed it up, because they were almost frustrated and kicked it straight in, and away he went. So really good performance from the Tigers. Thought they looked slick again with the football. Luke Brooks is playing great football, confident football. Moses Mbai looks comfortable as well. Dane Laurie, a couple of defensive efforts out the back were fantastic. We're always talking about his prowess with the football. Well, he came up with some great saves. And they've got a strong forward pack. A guy like Luke Garner, I think, he's probably doesn't get the raps he should every week. But
Luciano?
Yeah, they just go about their job. And Tamo was good up against his old club as well. But what an effort from the Penrith Panthers. Take out the grand final. I think it was 27 straight regular season wins. In this day and age, that's quite remarkable. And it just showed that, they want players to be playing representative football, but it does have a detrimental effect at club football, and we saw that in their first loss for a long, long time.
So 8 teams had the bye, being Origin week. Sterlo, you've gone through and you've run the rule over where you think those teams that didn't play on the weekend might finish at the end of the season. Now, this could end up anywhere. We will be keeping this.
I've got no doubt. I'm taking the leap of faith. I'm putting a lot of faith in a coach and the playing personnel down in the national capital. I'll give you the tip there.
Well, what do you got?
Well, look, I'm going to go through the sides that didn't play on the weekend, and I'll put them in order of where I've got them finishing going into finals football. I've got South Sydney finishing third. I think when they get their full team together, and Wayne Bennett as the coach going into finals football, he knows what it takes when it comes to timing to be at their best. I think they're a quality side. Team that can win the competition this year. They've got strike. I've got them in third position. Got the Roosters out to fifth. I think Parramatta will split them, but I think the Roosters still, despite the fact they've got so many of their stars on the sideline and who won't be coming back, a guy like Luke Keary missed enormously, but I just think that the style of football that they play, the way that they're coached, they're still a real force in this competition. I've got them fifth.
Still got Boy Corder to come back in.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's a little bit. There's more on the sideline than are coming back. Yeah. But Boyd and his leadership will be invaluable to them. Now in sixth position, and I can't believe that after the first 6 weeks, I'm saying this. I've got Manly, who I think they've got plenty to offer, and if they can keep Trebojevic and Cherry Evans fit and healthy, then they'll make a charge. Their performance against Parramatta a couple of weeks ago, it was a really complete performance. I've got some good young forwards coming through that have kind of picked up the slack that was left when Adam Fanua-Blake left. And so that collective effort has been really impressive. Marty Tapau leads those forwards. And I've liked what I saw. I know they got beaten by Newcastle the week later, but I think of the other teams that are chasing, I put them first and foremost. 7th position, again, North Queensland. They lost their first 4 games this year, but they've got the right mix now. Valentine Holmes playing great footy at fullback. Their best player all season has been Drinkwater. He's a 6. I like what I see coming out of dummy half. I think the rotation there from Reece Robson and Jake Granville is dangerous. Yep. And, I'm not quite sure what role Tom Dearden will play up there, but I think, that could be a plus for them as well. So I've got them playing finals football in 7th. All right. Ooh. In 8th position, and I'm putting a lot of faith in Ricky, and Ricky we trust. I had them as grand finalists before a ball was kicked. I'm thinking that the Canberra Raiders are still close enough if they can just get their shit together. Well, that's what they've got to do.
Never heard you swear before.
Well, I'd say Ricky might have done a little bit of it in the last few weeks. I'm just getting on board. They've still got the George Williams thing hanging over their head if that's going to go to court or whatever in regards to what's going to happen with his departure.
I think they've
resolved that. Okay, good.
It.
Klookstar doesn't look like he's going to be back soon.
So what you're saying here is that there is enough quality in that team as opposed to the others vying for
That's what I'm trying to say, whatever he said.
Yes.
I do. I think that, and that's why I had them so high up at the beginning of the year.
What about the Tigers?
Can we wait until... No, we're not getting to them because they played on the weekend. You could throw the Gold Coast at me. You could throw a couple of teams in regards to the Raiders. And it may be blind faith that I'm showing, but I just look through their roster and the depth of their roster. When you've got guys like Gula, Horsburgh, Hudson Young and Elliot Whitehead's been really good this year. I still see enough there. If Sam Williams can maybe come in alongside Jack White, and if Jack White can come back from Origin really ready to go, I think they've still got something to offer. I may be delusional.
They're talking about Townsend maybe going down there. I've even heard whispers that Sean Johnson might end up at Canberra before the end of the season.
Well, who knows? And the other key man obviously is going to be Josh Hodgson. If he can play some, if Hodgson and White can play some great footy between them, there's enough around them to still get them home. And I'm saying that whilst there's still some doubt over Curtis Scott as we sit here this morning. So yes, that might come back to haunt me, but Raiders in 8th.
Yes, headline, Sterling tips Raiders to make finals. Warriors 10th, Sharks 14th, and Bulldogs fans hate mail to Channel 9 at North Sydney because you're going to finish with the spoon.
Yeah, Warriors, they're a side that could just make the 8th, but I've got them down in 10th. I think the Sharks are going to fall down the ladder because, change of coach in regards to next year. Some senior players have been told they're not part of the organisation from this year. I just think there's too much upheaval out there of late, and I think that will count against them in the second half of the year.
Let's talk Origin. It is on everyone's minds this week. I want to go straight to the key positions because Origin games are won by key position players. Is that a fair statement?
Well, I think so.
Let's do a comparison.
All
right. Fullback 5/8, halfback hooker. Let's start with the sevens. Nathan Cleary, best player in the comp this year against Daly Cherry Evans, whose form has followed the same trajectory as Tom Trbojevic since he came back. Who's got the edge?
Well, I think the form of Nathan Cleary gives him the edge, but the experience factor that Daly Cherry Evans has is far superior to Nathan, even though he's been thrown into Origin at a young age. I think Nathan. And I go, and mainly because I think that the combination with Luai and with Isaiah Yeo is important. I really like rep teams where the 6, 7 and used to be the 8, but now the 13 all play for the same club. If that's justified, then I think that can be a real bonus. And Penrith have that scrum-based trio, let's call it. So all right, we'll go Cleary, but it's just that far in front of DCE.
Well, the Sixers, Luai on debut against maybe the best 5/8 in the game. You give that to Queensland?
Yeah, Munster was the player of the series last year. He was probably the difference last year, and if Queensland are to win, he may well be the difference this time. I'm really excited to see Jerome Luai at this level. I want to see if he can take that Penrith form and that energy and that enthusiasm and that infectious personality and have that work at this level. I've got fingers crossed that it can, but we know that Munster is going to throw things at New South Wales that are going to be difficult to counteract. because that's the way he plays. You know, if you talk about unpredictability in the game, we don't have enough of it. Cameron Munster is the best at it.
Yeah. Just on Luai, we've all seen the brilliant attack and the great vision and running game. What have you observed with his defence?
Oh, yeah.
Solid?
Yeah, I've got no... Both. You know, I think that's a real feature of Nathan Cleary's game as well. I think they're both really strong defenders. So, you know, you don't look at them and see that they're a weakness, or you don't really see that they're going to be worked over. Obviously, Queensland are going to go at Jerome Luai a lot in this game and send forwards that way, but I don't think there's any great concerns there. I don't see any technical weaknesses, and I certainly see plenty of bravery. You know, he's happy to put his body in front.
Would have been Tedesco versus Ponga. It's Tedesco versus Holmes at fullback.
Just, Val's hit form at the right time, but Teddy to me is still the best player in the game. If I had to pick a man of the match and first try scorer, I'm going with the other JT in the competition. I think Tedesco still leads the way. And I think Origin brings the best out in him. If you have a look at his last 6 or 9 performances, they've been stellar.
Yeah. So it's 2-1 in favour of New South Wales, which takes us to the Battle of the Nines. Damien Cook versus Harry Grant, who's had one Origin game but was absolutely dynamite.
I'm split decision. No, split because they're so different, the way that they play their football. If Damien Cook can find enough space around there, he could be the man that really leads this New South Wales side home. Because if he gets out of dummy half, all of a sudden that brings Tedesco in, that brings Nathan Cleary in. So if Damien Cook finds enough space around the play the ball area, he's the guy who can cause the havoc. Whereas Harry Grant plays a different way. He's going to be at this New South Wales side all the time, taking advantage again of dishevelled marker defence. He's a good ball player. He's going to make different metres, but a lot of them to Damien Cook. Split decision for me, so I don't know how that sits. I think it's 2.5 to 1.5, isn't it? There you go, New South Wales win. Mate, split decision. In a horse race, it doesn't have to be one or the other. They can get their noses down at the line at the same time, can't they?
So there's not much between them in the key positions.
Oh, well, thank you, Matt.
But that's
split decision.
Right. It's not. It's 2.5 to 1.5. New South Wales win.
No, I thought you were talking about the hookers still.
No, I'm talking about, you look at those spine players.
I can live with that, yeah.
Yeah. Thoughts on Freddie's forward pack? When he named the team, you saw Jake at prop, Isaiah Yeo at lock, and Cameron Murray's been forced to play on an edge because of the shortage for New South Wales.
He's played there before.
In that he has played there before, but you've got 3 ball-playing forwards in the run on pack. Now, how does Freddie use the ball-playing proficiency of all those 3 guys, or can you foresee there being maybe a late change with Paulo or Payne Haas to come into the starting team?
No, I don't. He doesn't play Ducks and Drakes. If he's named that, I think he'll go with that. And it is an interesting formation that he's gone with, because I think before the side was chosen, in my mind, Haas and Junior Paulo would be the starting props.
Yeah.
But that's not the case. What I do think is that he's got a plan in mind in regards to the interchange. I think it's clear that Jake Trbojevic will finish the game. How he uses the ball players, they've got their running games as well. And I thought that Jake Trebojevic's overall game was kind of weakened by the fact we weren't seeing enough running from him. We might see a little bit more of that in this game. What I do think, the prediction I will make, I think that both Payne Haas and Junior Paulo will play very big minutes. I think they will both play more minutes than Daniel Saifidi in the final wash-up. Now, what Freddie's got in mind in regards to how he does that, I'm not quite certain. He's obviously got a plan in mind. I think it is based around the interchange. But I'm very, very confident that when Paulo and the other front row, Payne Haas, comes in, I think that they'll be there for the bulk of the game, because they have the motors that can accommodate that. The one thing that the New South Wales pack has to counteract is it's a really aggressive Queensland pack. If you have a look, they've got that streak in them, which you kind of want at this level.
Well, that was my next point.
I hope we've got enough of it.
You look at the back row, Tino,
Yep.
Fafita and Kafusi, who's playing his 10th straight Origin match on Wednesday night. I mean, that is an aggressive, hard-running back row.
It is. And the thing I love about the New South Wales forward pack is the mobility, their motors. I think under whatever scenario arises, and it may well be in this game that we're going to see a side down to 12 men at some stage. That may well just be the reality of the officiating. I think New South Wales handle that on their ear. When you have a look at guys there, I think that You know, that the effort plays in all of the New South Wales forwards is certainly there, and all of them could play 80 minutes in a pinch. But the aggression factor is the one thing that New South Wales need to come with and have that aggressive mindset. I know Brad Fittler has come out and said there were a couple of incidents last year where he was probably a little bit disappointed. One of them was the ragdolling of James Tedesco. The other one, Nathan Cleary, was kind of got some interference as well. I think he was looking for a reaction from the team and didn't quite get it. I'd like to think that he's spoken to the players about that, and that if something untoward happened in this game, then the aggression would be seen in this New South Wales side.
All right, I know you're a part of the coverage on Wednesday night, live and exclusive to 9, 7 p.m. Don't miss a minute. I know you'll be giving your tips all week, but give us your tip first off Monday morning.
I'm tipping New South Wales to win by 14.
14?
I don't think that's that many in the game. You know, with the way the game is played these days.
Big margin.
Yeah, but you know, we've got these sixer games and all that. We're getting big margins in all games, and I think that will translate into Origin to a degree. 14 could still be a very, very tight game. Okay. And again, I will throw Tedesco as the man. I think that he will get the first try, and I think that he will be the MOM at the end of it. Origin has been his for a couple of years now. He's the captain of the side, and I just think that after a couple of quietish for him, which is still great footy, quietish games for the Roosters, he's ready to really explode on the Origin stage.
I think after last year's Origin series being moved to the end, we're back to the traditional Origin period, and I think you can feel the excitement.
Yeah.
Everyone's pumped.
Yeah, I think Origin is in the middle of the season, and whilst it can have a detrimental effect on the NRL competition, it's just the right feel. Yeah, the next 6 weeks is going to be superb, and we're going to get a very, very closely fought Origin series, which I think everybody wants, but just hope that your state can win.
Bring it on. Townsville, Wednesday night, 7 o'clock here on 9. Don't miss it. See you next week.
Thanks, mate.